year is a wonderful time to reflect on what you want to do in the coming year. It's like the clock is just 0, 0, 0, 0, and it's a fresh start. I'm Nedra Glover Tawwab. I'm a therapist and I have a community on Instagram. Today we're going to be talking about how to achieve your New Year's resolutions and think about them differently this year. Having intentions feels lighter to me. It feels more attainable. It feels achievable. The intentions help me to give myself some grace. I look at intentions as a way to consider these things throughout the year, not necessarily saying to myself, you will never stumble. Instead, I say, it is possible that you will, but if you do, that is okay. You're human. Just be intentional. Here are a few of my intentions for 2022. I will rest as a preventative measure. When I rest, it is in reaction to being busy or being overloaded or feeling overwhelmed. I am learning how to do it just because. I will consider my capacity before agreeing to do more. Sometimes I am in love with the idea of something and I will just say yes. And I forget like, oh my gosh, you are not available on this particular day. So being mindful of my capacity before I say yes to things and when I say no is so important for my mental health. I will consider my capacity before answering my phone, responding to emails, or even texting someone back. It's okay to pause things. It's okay to turn on your do not disturb. There is nothing wrong with taking a break from communication. Some common mistakes that people make is not committing to a time frame, not being consistent with those goals because there is no time frame. Just try to stick to these things that you outlined as intentions.
Your path is your path. There is no competition here. No one can beat you at your path but you. So honor that and take your time and walk the steps because you are purposed to be here for a reason and you've got to take your time to see that through. I'm Holley Kholi-Murchison, multimedia storyteller, talent development strategist, and entrepreneur. And these are my tips for staying motivated as an entrepreneur. For me, managing my time is really about managing my energy. And what that looks like changes throughout the seasons. It's an iterative process, so I have to test out things and see what works. I'm also a person who really appreciates ritual. So the best advice I can give is find the ritual that works for you and keep iterating on it. Like, see what feels good. For some, you might be like a morning person and you get your best work done in the morning. For others, you might be like, I'm a night owl. I need that midnight to 3 a.m. is my sweet spot. The most important thing is to do what works for you. In this season, how I structure my days is I wake up between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. to walk my dogs and feed them breakfast. And after my dogs have had their breakfast, I come in and I do my meditation. Sometimes I'll do a morning workout and I take a shower, which ends in a cold shower. That cold shower gives me like the energy to lean into the day. So from 9 to 12, that's my block. I have to have my own block of time where there's no meetings, no conversations. I just have that time to do like meditation or some creative work or a project that has nothing to do with client stuff or something that I'm creating for artists or entrepreneurs or other creative professionals. It's just my time to work on my stuff. And then in the afternoons, I block that out for meetings. I have faced burnout I'm smiling about it. Like, I'm so glad that that's done. I have absolutely faced burnout and it came from me just trying to push too much. I think it's so important to know your limits and not saying that you aren't capable of doing anything, but just knowing when enough is enough. So there were moments when I would try to stay up till midnight, knowing I had to be up at 5, and that wasn't it. And to do that repeatedly was a killer. So I made the choice to say, you know, what's more important to me, living a fulfilled life with my family and my loved ones and being able to experience the fruits of my labor with them, or being so absent from the present moments with them that I never get the opportunity to see those things. And that was an easy moment for me to say, oh, wait, I'm in control of my schedule. I can reel this back in and say, you know what? Yeah, no, I can't take that meeting on this day. Yeah, you know, that trip sounds cool, but I'm actually gonna have to turn it down. And it really helped me see for the first time that I am not my work. My work is a manifestation of who I am and how I show up in the world. And I can create very clear boundaries so that I'm not governed by my professional presence in the world. I think if you put the right parameters in place and set the right boundaries for yourself, it is possible to not burn out, right? It's so important to think about what are the precautionary measures you can put into place versus reactionary. Like, if I burn out, then I'm gonna take a vacation. It's like, no. How are you taking the very best care of yourself along the way so that burnout isn't an option for you? Are you honoring how you're spending your time? Are you delegating in a way that allows you to not have so much on your plate? Are you spending most of your time at work? If the answer to that last question is yes, you may possibly be on your way to burnout. And I think the most important thing to keep in mind is that a lot of us are on this path to prove our worth through doing. Like, I'm gonna do the most, I'm gonna do the most. But I think being the most far supersedes this idea of doing the most. Like, can you be in your being, just show up as the brightest, most fire, fantastic version of yourself? Because in those moments where you're resting, you are recouping for the work. It all matters, it all counts. I stay focused and motivated on the end result by spending part of my time just thinking about the past and part of my time thinking about the future. And what I mean by the past is there are some incredible ancestors in my lineage who have passed this baton down to me. So I know that I am, a path, I'm a leg of the race for them. So I'm like, okay, eyes on the prize. And then when I think about future, I'm thinking about who am I passing this baton to? So in this day, the minutia of my task list might feel really far away from the 5-year goal that I have, but I'm like, oh, let me keep my eyes on the prize. Ancestors paved the way, and my future children and generations ahead of me and the world ahead of me is counting on the contribution that I'm willing to be consistent enough to commit myself to every day. If you look in the corner of this photo, you'll see my grandmother right there. And that's a hearty version of me. I didn't get a chance to spend much time with my grandmother. She passed when I was about 6 or 7. And I've found myself in my adult life wanting to understand this knowing of her. And what I do know is that she was a badass, and so much of who she was, and I think who she still is in whatever realm she exists in now, really deeply influences me. And this is a photo that I keep in my office right in front of my iMac. I just work with this in front of me. I'm trying to make this little one proud right here, and I'm trying to make this woman proud right here. My grandma's dope. So those two things, that tug of war between past and future, really lights a fire under me to be mindful of how I'm spending my time and devoting myself in the present moment. And not just to work, but care across the board. In a non-capitalistic way, it's ooh, how am I showing up as my fullest self every day as I can? How am I loving up on the people that mean the most to me? And that motivates me to think about okay, then I'm on track for what the bigger picture holds. Thank you for watching.
So when people come to me and say, my vision isn't coming true how I saw it, I've been meditating, I've been working, I've been listening to podcasts, I did my vision board, but nothing's happening, I always tell them this: You don't get what you want in your life. You get what you are. We don't get what we want, we get what we are. And what does that actually mean? Well, it all has to do with self-sabotage. Look, you can meditate as much as you want, you can take as many courses on Skillshare as you want, but if you are still engaging in a bunch of self-sabotaging behavior, it's just like watering a garden full of weeds and expecting roses to bloom. It's like driving with your foot fully on the gas and on the brake at the same time. And that's what so many of us are doing. And it's really easy for us to try to think positive and to try to keep our minds right and start to listen to the right things and read the right books. But all of that goes to waste. It gets completely canceled out if we're still engaging in a bunch of self-sabotaging stuff. So here's the thing. In my book, Stay Woke, I cover 4 different types of self-sabotage: toxic habits, toxic people, toxic thoughts, and toxic beliefs. But here in this course, we're gonna focus on the most toxic one of all: toxic habits. Now, I'm gonna talk about toxic habits a little bit differently than you might expect, because you don't need me or a course to tell you if you're engaged in some insanely toxic stuff. I wanna talk about some of the things that slip under the rug a little bit, the things that everyone else is doing, the themes that seem like they're not toxic or that have actually even become a part of your identity, but are the things that are stopping you from reaching your goals. Look, I've been on a mission to take meditation out of this spiritual echo chamber and to bring it to everyday people like you and me. We gotta ask some big questions, like how does meditation loosen the grip on our toxic habits with things especially like porn, drugs, alcohol, social media, and meaningless sex? How does it help us stop comparing ourselves to other people? How does it help us actually get shit done and not just sit here relaxed and zen all the time? How does it help us with the environment, with social justice, with productivity, relationships, money, trauma, healing, entrepreneurship, creativity? How does it help us overcome obstacles and step into our power? So what is a toxic habit exactly? And remember, I'm going to talk about these in kind of a little bit of a hidden way. So a toxic habit, this is how I define it, is anything that you're doing regularly that lowers your vibration or keeps you from reaching your goals. And in this way, you have to understand that you first have to have the goal. Are the habits that I'm engaging in throughout my day taking me closer to that vision or further away? There's no in between. And we like to pretend like there's in between and that everything is neutral. No, everything you do, every habit you have, everything you choose to engage with throughout your day, from when you wake up to when you go to sleep, is either taking you towards your vision or further away. And so when we get really honest about that, we have an amazing filter to look at some of the things that we do that seem seemingly mundane, but are actually holding us back from accomplishing our dreams and goals. So let me give you an example. One of my students, Jaden, is an incredible trans activist who's doing powerful work in the world. And so I was talking to Jaden, and Jaden was like, you know, in my vision, I just keep seeing myself playing guitar. And I said, okay, well, why don't you play guitar? And they were like, well, I don't have time. So then I let Jaden talk for a little bit longer and longer, and then I asked Jaden a trick question. I said, Jaden, you know, I've been trying to figure out some new Netflix shows to watch. What are you watching on Netflix right now? And then Jaden started listing off every single Netflix show that exists and was telling me how excited they were about all these Netflix shows. And I looked at Jaden with my eyebrows up, and right there, they knew, uh-oh, I was caught. And so I asked Jaden, real quick, be honest with yourself. How many hours per week are you spending on these Netflix shows? And Jaden starts counting and goes, uh-oh. And I said, that's it. Netflix and watching TV for you is toxic. Now, is watching Netflix or watching TV toxic in general? No, of course not. Most things are not inherently toxic, but it's our relationship to those things that make them toxic or not. And specifically, if you're saying you don't have time and that's what's keeping you from accomplishing your goals and becoming who it is that you want to be, then you have to look at the things that are taking your time that actually don't matter that much. And so in this case, for Jaden, watching TV is toxic. So here are some things that you might not normally think of that can actually become toxic habits. Always saying yes when you really want to say no. Obviously, we talked about watching TV, going to sleep too late, waking up too late, drinking coffee, drinking alcohol. Any of these things, right? Are they inherently toxic? No. But what becomes toxic is our relationship to those things and being real honest with ourselves about whether engaging in these behaviors are taking us closer to our vision and further away. So now I want you to listen to me very carefully before we get into this practice, because this is important. I'm not demonizing any of these things. All we're doing is asking ourselves, who do we want to become and what's stopping us from getting there? And most commonly, the things that are stopping us from getting where we want to go are not these big dramatic boulders and roadblocks in our lives. They're the little things that we're doing every single day that become habits that block us from our dreams. And in this way, something can be toxic for you now, but not toxic for you later. Or it can be toxic for your friends, but not toxic for you. You have to get clear on what your vision is and then decide if a habit is toxic for you or not. And we're gonna figure that out right now in this practice. We'll start with the freedom trinity: body, eyes, and breath. So go ahead and just soften into your body, get comfortable. Remember, you can relax your shoulders, relax your eyebrows, relax your jaw, the space behind your ears, just softening into your body 5% more. And then go ahead and place your hands over your heart. Take a full, deep breath in and a breath out. And when you feel ready, I invite you to shut your eyes. And remember, you can always keep your eyes open if you'd like, but just look down a little bit and kind of blur out your vision so you don't get a distracted gaze. And now we'll align our breath together with the 3-count breath. On the count of 3, go ahead and exhale everything out of your system through your nose. 1, 2, 3. Exhale everything out and come to completely empty. Great. And now to my count of 3, inhale for 1, 2, 3. Hold for 1, 2, 3. Exhale 1, 2, 3. Again, inhale 1, 2, 3. Hold for 1, 2, 3. Exhale 1, 2, 3. Last time, inhale 1, 2, 3. Hold for 1, 2, 3. Exhale 1, 2, 3. Great. And now just breathe normally. I'm going to invite you into a short visualization with me. And remember, you can use all of your senses for this practice. So I want you to call into your mind right now that future version of you. The future version of you who is living the life of your dreams. And trust anything that arises today, even if it's fuzzy or incomplete. You might have multiple things shuffling in your mind, but just notice in this vision today, what is the future you wearing in the vision? Are they indoor or are they outdoor? What do you look like? What do you see? And as we drop back into this future vision, has the narrative expanded at all? Do you notice anything new or anything different? So just scan around yourself in the vision and notice what colors are around you. Is there anybody there with you? What are you doing in this vision? What happened or is happening or is about to happen? And what is happening in this vision that indicates to you that you are indeed living the life of your dreams? Notice, do you hear anything in the vision? Remember, don't force it. Do you smell anything or taste anything in the vision today? Do you notice any physical sensations? Are there any specific emotional qualities? Take a moment right now and just continue scanning around this future vision where you are living the life of your dreams. And if you haven't fully yet let yourself really go there, you can rub a magic lamp. Everything is possible. Scan around. What do you notice? And now, as you look at this future version of you who is living the life of your dreams, ask the future you this question. What specific habit is keeping me out of alignment with becoming you? What specific habit is keeping me out of alignment with becoming you? What specific habit is keeping me out of alignment with becoming you? Just be here for a moment now as you get the messages you need. And now go ahead and place your hands over your heart and just feel or repeat these words with me. I am allowed to change. Show me the way. I am allowed to change, and I know the way. I am allowed to change, and I am ready to take the next step. You're ready. You are ready. So go ahead and just anchor into what you received for a moment, knowing that you are safe to grow, you're safe to change, you're safe to evolve, and you have the power to move forward. Go ahead and take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And when you're ready, I invite you to open your eyes. This is deep work, right? You're doing incredible, incredible work. This is how we really start to change.